What's up, Aquarius? So this is going to be a description from the card pull. This particular deck is the Herbal Astrology Oracle deck by Adriana Ayales. And then we're going to do our actual reading, right? So the particular card pull is Horsetail, which in the subtext of patience. And endurance, steady focus, period of gestation, trust the process, heightened sensitivity. And whenever you cross paths with a horsetail, you are looking at a member of a soul-surviving genus once great lineage. Prehistoric horsetail is said to have been giant compared to the remaining species that exist today. This primitive plant, a descendant of large trees from Paleozoic era, about 375 to 600 million years ago. These plants emerged from a primordial swamp over 100 million years ago, long before dinosaurs walked on Earth. All cultures to which horsetail was native used it as food and medicine, often cooking it like vegetable or chewing it raw in the springtime. Horsetail strengthens connective tissue such as skin, hair, nails, bones, teeth, cartilage, ligaments, and even mucous membranes. In ancient times, it was referred to as a bone mender, as it was used to help heal broken bones, fractures, and osteoporosis. Horsetail is ruled by Saturn, as a strengthening of skeletal systems and connective tissues and promoting wound healing. Hair growth, skin protection, and bone strength are all in the ring planet's domain. Saturn also corresponds with the processing of minerals within the body, particularly the kidneys, which horsetail also nourishes. Archetypically, Saturn provides us protection, shielding, courage, endurance, patience, self-control, and the blessings of challenge. Saturn, known as Kronos in Greek, is the lord of time and viewed as a destructive, all-devouring force. Yet Saturn isn't as malevolent as it's portrayed to be, as its energy teaches us self-mastery, the power we are granted once we overcome the cycles of pain and suffering. Horsetail teaches us the power that lies within patience and the endurance gained through the hidden lessons of challenge. There is something good in all seeming failures, and although that might not be clear in the moment, time will reveal it. Trust the process. Remember that stubbornness and willfulness are counterproductive to loosening knots. Instead, like the medicine of horse, ground to the earth's energy and adapt to changes and hardships on the journey. Horse medicine provides us heightened sensitivity and the purity of trust, essential tools to have as we navigate life's journey. Invoke the strength of horse as a power animal when you need to increase psychic sensitivity and intuition. I think, okay, there's a few things here I want to say. First off, the idea of patience and, grounding, things like that. And this mention of Saturn, it comes across as more of a confirmation of this idea. When I first seen this card, I looked at the rulership of it being under Saturn and Venus. For those that don't know, Aquarius is co-ruled by Saturn, right? So this is the modern rulership scheme. The idea here is that there has to be a very real understanding of the 3D before we can transcend into really the next, right? So Saturn is known as kind of the 3D realm, right? The mastery over the 3D realm, representative of time, restrictions, things of that nature. And what I find is a lot of people, I would say, don't have real understanding of Saturn, right? They want to skip Saturn. Because, I mean, and for good reason, usually, because, I mean, it's just a headache when it comes down to, like, having to spend time, right, to really get a solid understanding here. But there's this idea of Saturn, it also rules over resilience, okay? So the concept of being able to skip Saturn and just ignore it sounds nice, sounds great, right? This is where you get people who are able to say, you know, oh, these things, you know, reality doesn't exist, time doesn't exist, right? And the concept here is, okay, well, since reality doesn't exist and time doesn't exist, I'm going to go to lunch without you. You know, like that concept of, we can't just ignore Saturn and expect it to go away, right? If we just look hard enough, like we can't do that. But we need to have a people who understand and people who can transition us. And this idea, when I talk about the concept of Renaissance, and you know, it's Aquarius rules over Renaissance, so you guys likely have a very strong understanding of what needs to happen today, and whether it's a conscious understanding or an unconscious understanding, just digging on that understanding and truly being moved into creating the next. It is a responsibility, and it's a responsibility that will require digesting what is now, right? So the idea, for instance, I'm not sure if you guys have heard the term or the phrase, but don't take a fence down without realizing why it was up in the first place, right? Why this is a unique time period. This idea, this concept of a Renaissance, is a unique time period, very unique. Where we have to look in and we have to understand what is useful in society and what needs to be changed, right? It's very easy that the concept of why I say Renaissance and not revolution, why I want a Renaissance rather than a revolution, is because this concept of we want things to civil society, it's very easy to call for a revolution without understanding of the chaos that really entails, and having no responsibility to what happens if civil society falls apart. That's not a place that people want to see. That's not a place that people want to live in. A Renaissance. Think of, what was it, The Art of War? Like, it's better to win a battle without fighting, or something like that. Like that's what I think about when I think about a Renaissance. But that takes responsibility, that takes patience. And how do we stay grounded when we do this, when we move into the next? How can we move into the next while staying grounded, right? And the concept here is that for those that don't know, Saturn, we talked about the co-rulership, but the modern rulership is Uranus. That's the next planet, right? And it's a planet that's not visible to the naked eye, right? The transition, the way we transition into the next, has to be grounded and rooted into reality, 3D reality, Saturn, right? What was restricting us, and how can we start to break the restrictions in, with mastery and knowing the rules, right? You learn the rules so you can break them like an artist. Okay? And what are you trying to do, and what are the arguments against that? Taking the time to look at what the arguments really are. We need that. We need this new world. I think there's this idea of also, it reminds me of I'm gonna refer you guys to this particular article at the end. Is it Renaissance Sermon 6 or episode 6? But there's an end of it where it's a sculpture. It's a digital sculpture there, and they do something so cool. It's so amazing. Like, right. So the idea here is they made a sculpture. I want to say it's in Indonesia, right? But they have the sculpture. When it rains in Indonesia, sap falls off the sculpture. When deforestation happens, the lights start flickering. When some amount of deforestation happens, I want to say whatever fixed amount, it sounded ridiculous, but when the amount of deforestation happens, one leaf falls off the tree. I'm not sure how this is actually working in real life, but the idea is there in terms of the concrete understanding, right? But that idea, right? Because today what a lot of people will say is, technology actually separates us from the world, or from the 3D reality, right? That's a lot of the argument. The way they took technology, that understanding that they took with, this is how we can do this particular thing, and maybe help the actual nonprofits on the ground trying to spread awareness about this topic. That's reconnection. That's an element of reconnection. That is an element of reconnection. It's not the same type of reconnection, right? It's not the reconnection that a lot of the there was some pretty there was the climate activists that took it maybe a tad bit too far in a certain sense, and they started doing a lot, but a lot of the ideology is that humans and technology is just bad in general. That's it. There is no nature is perfect by itself, and we're only destroying that. And I'm not going to say that nature isn't perfect by itself. I'm going to say that we are very much a part of nature, right? That's the concept here, right? I don't think we've been a very a good neighbor to the other species on this planet, I would say, but I would definitely say that we are a part of nature, our own understanding of what's really taking place. And that idea in terms of what that particular sculpture represents to me is the potential that I honestly believe in when it comes down to technology, when we really repair our relationship with technology and start to tool it in the right way. Because I'm not for going back to living the Quakers or whatever. I don't know the terminology, but the complete rejection of technology. I think we do need to really break off from the understanding that we have now, though. what we're doing now, because we really have allowed we have allowed these people to simply hijack us in so many different ways. And we can't continue that. We can't continue down this path. We are allowing a very few people to have a tremendous amount of control over how we interact in our society in general. And that's a problem, I would say, but we can still repair it. We can still change it. And there are things that we can do and we should do. And this idea of what you guys may be thinking about, what's coming about in your head, like I said, start to think about it and be patient. Be patient, because it's something that echoes. It's not something that needs to be important right here and right now. It's something that may be very much a turning point for society in general. And with that being said, hope to see you guys next week, and have a good week.